The Chronicles of Yiannau, Beneath Ivory Moon is a Lovecraftian-styled horror game that has been inspired by classic games of old, very reflective of games like Silent Hill and even Resident Evil, as the game plays from a third-person perspective but mainly focuses on fixed or dynamic camera elements along with tank controls in order to maneuver the character around the environments, with the focus around the game's plot being an investigator trying to solve several murders surrounding a fishing village. So your goal is to investigate the environments and surroundings while gathering resources available in order to help you on your journey, which will work in typical survival horror fashion, from having to collect health packs, ammo, weapons, anything that you can use in order to move forward, even finding keys to open and unlock new areas to explore. But you'll soon find out that all is not well within the area, as there's a lot of otherworldly events that are occurring, even in the form of rituals taking place. I found that by playing this early demo, as it is a prototype, you find a lot of the early portions of the game exploring all of the environments outside. The one thing I will say with this game is, even though it's an indie title, the graphics, even though they're inspired by classic survival horror games, are incredible. The high level of detail here truly is astounding. Now, because the version of the game that I played was in a different language, it did take a while to kind of figure out what to do, but the fact is that once you get familiar with the controls, once you're able to maneuver around and explore the environment, you'll pretty much get an idea of what you need to do, and you can pick it up as you go along. But as it's a prototype, it isn't without its flaws. There was some glitches and bugs that occurred quite often, especially with enemies. Once you got into altercations with them, sometimes they would attack you, sometimes they wouldn't, or they would just stand there almost like as if they were still. But during some of my playthroughs, I often found that once I picked up a weapon, which you could gain access to, like a pistol and even a shotgun, now there's actually a lot of ammo that you'll find around the place through exploration, but I found that once you picked up the ammo, it didn't show up in your inventory. Therefore, when you went to reload your gun or even use it, while you could aim, you couldn't shoot, making it very, very difficult. Again, I can only presume that this is another known glitch in it, and there's not really a lot you can do. Now, I'm sure it wouldn't have been the same for everybody else that's played it, but I just found it in my playthrough. But I couldn't get over how visually detailed the game is, even though it uses low poly style graphics, but they are highly detailed. Like, the level of realism here is phenomenal, and the fact is that it has almost a Lovecraftian and especially a gothic theme around it. It really suits the visual style, and it's very, very atmospheric. Literally, as soon as you get off the boat on the pier and you arrive on the island, the tension is almost apparent right from the very beginning. But it will take a while to figure things out. Now, even with the control systems, I found that I could use the keyboard and mouse, which, yeah, worked to a degree. Even though it's more focused on that at the minute, I was able to use the controller to some point, but you couldn't access all of the buttons. Like, if you wanted to access your inventory or pick up items, you could only do that using the keyboard feature. So the game is still, at this current time, from the version that I've played of it, still doesn't have full controller support available, but hopefully in future updates, if this continues, that all those issues will be ironed out, as I do genuinely think that with controller support will definitely make it a much more approachable experience. But out of all of the more recent survival horror style indie games that I have played in recent times, this was definitely one of the most interesting, and it was one of the most highly detailed that I've seen in quite a while. So I would be very interested to see where this goes next, but hopefully we won't have to wait long to find out. There'll be a link in the description so that you can go and check this game out for yourself. I do recommend that you give it a try, at least, if you're a fan of this old classic style of horror games. And with that being said, this is just but one of many unique and interesting classic style horror games that are coming back into the forefront in recent times. There is so much more out there that we have yet to explore and discover, which we can do so here in this next video, so it might be worth checking out.